What is up in the crypto markets in the past 24 hours or so? South Korea coming out and issuing an ICO ban for domestic ICOs. I want to talk about what that means from an ICO perspective, how that impacted the Bitcoin price, how that impacted especially the Ethereum price and Litecoin price, but really mostly Ethereum in the past 24 hours, what that might mean going into the future, and how we can look at some of these aspects relating to this South Korea regulatory ICO ban in the near future and really why they did it. So if you weren't aware, or if you looked at your Blockfolio account or whatever it might be, if you looked at your tracking app in the recently, you might have noticed that Bitcoin was down last night out of nowhere. Ethereum was really down pretty decent last night out of nowhere. Litecoin was down pretty good. And a lot of that news was stemming from this South Korean regulatory ICO ban. And basically what it means, summing it up in a lot of respects, is the financial regulatory agency within South Korea has come out and is now prohibiting companies that are South Korean companies and startups from participating in ICOs, from offering ICOs, which is a big deal. And in some cases, it's not a massive deal. And the reason I say that is kind of twofold. So obviously any type of ICO ban in South Korea is big news, because South Korea is a major source of volume for cryptocurrency. There are a lot of buyers of crypto in South Korea. There are a lot of ICO buyers in South Korea. So that is number one, part of why it's big news. Number two, why it's not as big of a news as of right now that you might think, is that for right now, a lot of what people are saying is that this is solely going to apply to individuals or to companies that are based in South Korea. So what that means is that it's domestic companies in South Korea. So if I own a company that's in South Korea, I cannot run an ICO. So if I have Crypto Bobby's company in South Korea, I can't run an ICO, and I can't collect any Ethereum to fundraise in that manner. However, if I don't live in South Korea, but if I did, and if I was a South Korean citizen, if I want to invest in whatever US or Canadian or European ICO that I wanted to, as of right now, people are saying that that's still a possibility so South Koreans can still invest in ICOs abroad, which is a positive thing because there are not that many ICOs being based out of South Korea right now. So that isn't the biggest deal in the world. However, when we're thinking about this and when we're looking at kind of what this means, this could be the start of a full-on ban, of ICOs in South Korea, like you saw in China, where not only in China can a company not run an ICO in China and sell it to Chinese citizens, Chinese citizens are not legally allowed to participate in ICOs anywhere in the world. That's just not, granted, all cryptocurrency for the most part is now banned in China, but that type of action could happen with South Korea. And a lot of people, so basically there's two paths of people right now. There are people that are saying, okay, this is a domestic issue. So what? A South Korean company can't offer an ICO, not that big of a deal, wasn't that big of a deal in the marketplace so far. And if those people are right, it's not that big of a deal. However, if this is step number one, and step number two is the South Korean regulatory agencies are going to come out and say, you know what, not only are South Korean companies not allowed to offer ICOs, but South Korean citizens are not allowed to participate in ICOs abroad either. They can't invest their money or participate in any type of token sale or crowd sale or whatever you want to call it. They cannot do that. That's a big deal because the volume that South Korea is responsible for in crypto is no joke. So that is not confirmed by any stretch right now, but there are a lot of people that are saying I do my best to go on Twitter and to go on Reddit and to go everywhere that I can online to try and understand what people are thinking, what the strategies are, and kind of how people are playing this information. So when I did that, there's really, like I said, there's two groups of people. They're like, this is just domestic. Nobody gives a shit. and it's like 1% of ICOs are South Korean, so not that big of a deal. And then alternatively, other people are saying this is just the start, and they're going to ban all South Koreans from participating in ICOs, and that'll whack the market. So my thought process is I don't know which one is right. I don't. If I knew, I would tell you. However, if it is the latter, if it is the start of a ban, that's going to, in my opinion, probably lead to a sell-off. Will the market eventually shrug that off? Potentially. Could it be like China where it dips the market quite a bit and then the market recovers? Yeah, that's certainly possible. But, for context here and to put things into, to perspective, if we look at the 24-hour volume rankings for an exchange, Bitfinex is number 1, Bittrex is number 2, and BitHum is number 3 in the world. This is a Korean exchange. You can see basically this is all done on the Korean fiat pairings, and that's $350 million in daily 24-hour volume, which ain't no joke. So, I mean, that's something you definitely want to keep into consideration as you're looking at this is that's just one Korean exchange, but South Korea has some power in the cryptocurrency world, and not necessarily if that power is taken away, but if they're not able to buy those ICOs, that's going to negatively affect the market, in my opinion. I don't know if that's going to happen. Hopefully, this is just a ban on domestic. Hopefully, what people are saying right now hopefully, what people are saying right now that ban on just simply domestic companies running ICOs, that's the case. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it plays out. I would just be prepared for the latter. For me personally, if I'm thinking about things, I'm coming up with a game plan of what am I going to do if the second scenario happens? How am I going to play that? You're going to want to come up with that scenario as well because that could be a possibility going into the future. Now, to look up the charts here too. So last night we'll pull this up right now. Last night I was, for the most part, pretty much just relaxing. Nothing too crazy was happening. Ethereum had that spike up the other day up to 310 when Bitcoin had a really nice rise and kind of settled a little bit above 300, and then over the course of 2 hours dropped from 301 all the way down at its low point to 278, which is pretty nuts. This is on GDAX US dollar, and you can see this green arrow here. I actually, as I saw a lot of this was going on, you can see the green arrow here. That was an area where I made a little bit of a pickup on ETH, which so far is looking good. I've said it before, and a lot of you, I've even gotten tweets from some people that were talking about buying at the lows. That's kind of what I mean when everybody's selling. That's in my opinion, it's a good time to pick up some, whether you're just trading to pick it up on the pop, or if you're just gonna buy it to hold it long term. This green arrow here, you can see that is where I had a limit order set at, I believe it was like 284.05 cents or something of that nature. So that was, so far as of right now, a pretty decent pickup spot for me. But you could see, the heavy sell volume coming in here and people freaking out because typically, how I see these market cycles happen is people that are really in the know, a tweet comes out or something like that happens, and 2 minutes later, it's just sell off. And then some of the newer people in the space are like, what the hell is going on? Why is everybody selling? What's happening? And then they find out the news, and either they sell or just kind of associate it to potentially the wrong place of why that's happening. So for me personally, I was looking at the red. I saw what it meant. I saw what the news, I saw kind of how the news was happening, and I just put in an order. I let it happen. I woke up in the morning. I got my Coinigy alert that said, hey, this executed. Your ETH order executed, your buy order executed at 284. Check the price. It was at 294 at the time. Now it's only at 292. But that's the kind of thing, I just go in, do it calmly. If you have an idea of why the market's dropping, don't freak out, because I'm sure, honestly, there's a lot of newbies here that saw this at 284 and were like, holy shit, this is going down, I'm going to sell, and now it's up. So you just want to find, in my opinion, the source of the news, why people are making a decision based upon that. And if you don't know the source, I talked about it yesterday, I'll talk about it again today. If the market's dropping like crazy or if it's going up like crazy and you don't know why, you're probably already too late to be making some of those decisions. So you really want to be kind of intelligent and measured about how you go ahead and do that, because if you're reactionary, you can easily get your face ripped off. You know, the people that did well in this trade were the people that sold in this candle, where they knew within 5 minutes that Korea was kind of coming out, and they knew within 5 minutes. I saw a tweet in this red candle right here back at around, I think it was around 11 p.m. Somebody tweeted out that Korea was banning domestic companies from running ICOs. I saw this tweet and I was like, whatever. And then I saw the market start dropping and I was like, all right, 2 and 2 together, boom, that's why. Let's put in a market order. Is it that big of a deal? We'll take a shot, we'll see what happens, and we'll go. So that was kind of my thought process there. Ethereum got hit a lot harder than Bitcoin, and you can see even here, we'll look at the ETH to BTC ratio. So the ETH to BTC ratio worked pretty good. You can see a pretty strong sell volume here. And typically, I mean, I think the reason for that is, while it's not necessarily great news for Bitcoin either, Ethereum is typically associated with the ICOs. So when you're thinking about ICOs, a lot of people will buy ICOs within Ethereum, they're ERC20 tokens. So if you're trying to purchase, if you're trying to purchase an ICO, it's usually done in Ethereum. And it's a better, in that case, if there's a specific ban on ICOs, that's not really a ban on Bitcoin. It's not really a ban on Ethereum, but it's a ban on some of the utility of Ethereum. So you're seeing that sell off from 0.072. We'll take a look at the actual percentage of how much that dropped. I mean, the ratio is down about 3% or 2.5%. At its peak was about down 3.5%. But it's interesting to see nonetheless there, as far as Bitcoin sold off, but Ethereum sold off quite a bit more. And that typically happens, like I said, when negative news comes out in relation to an ICO ban or something of that nature. So that's kind of my thought process on the day as far as looking at this. Is I think there's summing it up, there's those two kind of chances right now, or there's really the two potential things that are going to happen right now. We're going to stay that course of, okay, it's just a domestic ban on ICOs, not that big of a deal, it'll be all right, we'll be fine for South Korea, or this is phase 1 of phase 2, and phase 2 being South Koreans can't participate in ICOs, and that's what you want to watch out for. That's what you want to be careful for. And if that becomes the case, or whether or not that becomes the case, think of a plan of what you're going to do when that happens, because I would imagine that's going to dip the markets a lot more than you saw with this 3 to 6% move or whatever it might be within Bitcoin, within Ethereum. So keep that on your radar. Just be prepared for how you might, if you want to set low buy orders, if you're just trying to buy and hold, set low buy orders, see what happens. If you are afraid of that risk, then think about how you could potentially input a plan to sell. So think about that. I think that's really important looking forward as far as what some of these possibilities are. I hope this video was helpful for you today, as far as just kind of explaining some of what I think the potential scenarios are with South Korea, that ICO regulatory issue there, and how that affected Ethereum, how that affected Bitcoin, kind of why. And I will absolutely keep my eye on the markets for you guys. I try to be as quick as possible with the news in any scenario that I possibly can be. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate that. My name is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Thank you for your time. I hope you have a good one.